Today's guest is Mike Weber. Mike was a former NHL defenseman. Actually, he was a former client of mine. He was on the ice with me a lot, training hard. And while he was doing that, he was playing for the Buffalo Sabres. His last year in the NHL, he got traded at the deadline to the Washington Capitals, and then he had a lot of knee problems that we were. It was tough for me to watch because, before I get into that, he was also the captain of the Windsor Spitfires. He went over to Sweden to finish in Sweden. Was it Sweden? Yeah, it was Sweden.
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
It was Sweden. Went over to Sweden to play for Frölunda, and that's where he ended his career. Came back and he, first of all, he came back and he became a coach with the Windsor Spitfires. The coaching job wasn't available, but Mike. This is the background of Mike. So there's people, in the hockey world that I've been around this thing for a long time. I've been around a lot of good people. And Mike, when he started skating with me years ago, I didn't really know him except for to say hi. But when he started skating with me, the first thing that stood out, and it's the best quality a hockey player could have, is just the pure work ethic that Mike Weber had. It was just pure hard work. He would come to the rink, even though it was the first skate of the year after a season, and we work on edge work or some basic skill stuff. And the focus we weren't there to be best friends. We were there to work hard. And Mike I used this in a post that I did yesterday. I said, when Mike Weber, he was I always have someone on the ice that I can guide, like when I'm pushing a little bit too hard. And I remember one time I went up to Mike and I said, Mike, how you feeling? Are you okay? And he just looked at me with those dark eyes, like he was going to bite my head off. And he said, Andy, I'm a professional hockey player. I'm here to work. And for a lot of people, they wouldn't do that. They'd like to take the easy way out, but that's not the way Mike did it. And Mike, I'm going to talk a little bit about you here because it's very important, because we know that you didn't make the NHL because you were a skilled player. And I'm not saying you weren't skilled, but you didn't make it on that because of your skill. You made it because of your pure grit and hard work. So the thing with Mike is he worked really, really hard. Like, I can't even explain how hard this guy worked. He blocked pucks for a living, ate pucks for a living, did all the stuff that people don't want to do, basically because he had a dream. And he did whatever he needed to do to become a professional hockey player. When I was watching Mike, especially as we became very good friends, Mike would come here and he would skate, but he already probably did a workout, a run, a Pilates. He was doing everything. Like, all day consumed him of becoming a hockey player. And then more impressive is when he, when his career was ending. It was sad for me to watch, Mike. You know this. You came and saw me every day, pretty much. Is that knee of yours was in the way, and this was a testament to your character. Is that you just didn't sit there and say, okay, I got a sore knee, I can't do anything. This guy literally every day would get up and go find some type of rehab, try to skate, try to go to a Pilates, he tried everything possible to get back on the ice. And that's something that most people wouldn't do. So at the end of everything, I'm not saying I'm responsible for helping you be a course. We've had conversations where that you want to get back into coaching, and you decided that you were going to take that same tenacity and effort and hard work that you took from hockey, and you put it into coaching, and you went down to the Spitz. You said, listen, this is what I'm going to do, and got the job, and you become a successful coach, what I had no doubt about. So that's my introduction to Mike Weber. It was all over the place, but that's very sincere, because I've seen this guy literally bust his ass, bust his knees, bust everything to become everything that he is right now. So from there, Mike, I want to introduce you. You can do some talking now, and I would like you to just, talk about, how hockey started for you, and take us through your journey. And the odd time I'm going to give you a hands up and interrupt and ask you a question.
Well, I'll start off by, thanks, Packer. It's very, very flattering statements there. But again, for a guy like myself, a little bit about myself. So I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Started skating when I was 4 years old, but both my parents, my dad never played the game. My mom never played the game. My dad never even knew how to skate, and it was just a local arena. It was almost like a daycare situation where they were able to drop me off and kind of have some childcare. And one of the activities was skating, and something that I fell in love with right away. I was pretty quick to pick up skating, learn how to skate. Financial reasons, things like that. I was never able to play at the highest levels, but my parents did what they could to keep me in hockey, and I played the majority of my young life, playing single A hockey or double A hockey. And, but again, just really felt a strong connection, like a lot of people do, to the game, and just wanted to learn more. Always was outside practicing, doing things. Again, probably leads to a lot of the attributes that Packer said, but I was always self-driven to be successful. And never really had a plan B. I always just wanted to be a hockey player. I was a good student. I was respectful and diligent with my work and things like that. But at the end of the day, I was doing things, making sure I did things the right way away from the rink, so that my parents would take me to the rink to participate in the sport and to play. And it wasn't until I was 13 years old that I played for my first AAA team. My parents actually I was cut from every AAA team in Pittsburgh. There was 4 at the time, and my parents took me, I remember, to every tryout, and every team said, he's a good player, but there's not much you could do financially to help out with the team to really get him over the top and have him on the team. And I remember my dad getting really upset, and he put me in the car. There was a tryout in Cleveland for the Cleveland Barons AAA team, and he put me in the car. We drove 2.5 hours to the arena. He paid the $100 or whatever it was for the tryout fee, and he put me on the ice. And the coach came up to him after the first thing. He goes, "How is he not playing in Pittsburgh? Like, why?" And he kind of gave a little bit of background story, and they're like, "Listen, like he's on the team. We want him to play. Like, if you guys are willing to do that commitment." And again, both my parents, a credit to them, and the sacrifice that they had to make along the way. But for a whole hockey season, my parents drove me 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back, 4 or 5 days a week, plus tournaments and games. And I was able to, play AAA hockey. And, after that season, again, it kind of came down to a financial aspect. They were like, we can't do this again. And I was going home to play AA midget hockey to my hometown. I was going to go play just for the local team, AA, and fortunate enough that my AA midget team, we practiced, and we finished the practice, and a guy came up to me and he goes, what are you doing out there? I said, "Oh, it's my team. I'm playing for the AA team." And he goes, "No, would you mind staying out for practice with us?" I said, "Oh, who are you guys?" He goes, I run the junior B team. I said, "Oh, okay." And my dad kind of funny, but he goes, "How much?" And he goes, "Don't worry about it. It's free. Just come out and play. Just come out and practice." And obviously one practice turned into 2, and then it turned into, me playing as a 14-year-old on the junior B team in Pittsburgh, and, getting exposed to playing against guys that were 20 years old in the Empire Junior B League. And again, I had a really successful year. I made an all-star team, played in the Golden Horseshoe League. We played them, and that was when my first interaction to the Ontario Hockey League was. I started getting approached by scouts and things like that, and didn't really know about the OHL. And again, fast forward to the May, I get drafted to the Ontario Hockey League. I'm a Windsor Spitfires, drafted in the 3rd round, the 4th pick to Windsor, and again, nothing kind of guaranteed at all to make the team. And again, fortunate along the way to have a close relationship with, Butch Ott, who's a local guy here. He was working for my agency at the time, and basically they brought me in, and I've been in Windsor ever since.
So what we're talking about today is hard work versus talent. Okay. And so a common theme that people have is it's almost like, where do you get the break from? And it's almost like people are waiting for someone to give them a chance. And when I heard you talk about that story, it's something that I say to the kids every day, is that you're not given chances, you go and grab them. And you're that story that you said where you went to junior, or you had to go back to the AA team. A lot of people don't understand that people, when you are good enough, they are going to find you. They are going to find you. You are going to get your chance at some point. So, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna ask the questions. Here's one of the questions that I had from yesterday. Now, I want to qualify this as that I say this every day to my wife, because coming through hockey, I get the game. I get what's the process. I know when someone's trying to sell something, or when it's a bunch of bullshit, or when it's actually real stuff. So I feel terrible for people that aren't sure. But the bottom line is if you're good enough, they're going to find you, and there's not a big secret. But here's one of the questions from yesterday. Just good, honest question. How important is it for a player to have representation? If you work hard and commitment is not recognized, does it translate into a fair chance on the ice? And a lot of us are too scared to speak up, because you don't want to rock the boat for your kid. And the window of success is small, and it closes quickly. So can you wrap your head around that?
Yeah, I mean, like, so just on the representation side of it, for myself, I had my agent that represented me, and again, he was when I was getting ready to get drafted to the OHL, like, obviously it's in there, like, you should get representation, there's contracts involved, and it's all out of, and so my parents started calling around, and the big agencies didn't want me. No one wanted me. And again, like, it's fair, and that's their, again, kind of going backwards a little bit, but no one's a self-made man. Like, you need a lot of people in your life, and a lot of people come in your life at certain times that help you. And if you have the drive, you can use those people as conduits and kind of rise above and meet the challenges. But just a chance encounter with Butch Odd, who was scouting for my agency at the time. He sees me play in this junior B tournament, and really likes me and reaches out to me and talks to me. He sees something in me. So again, it took him being able to see something inside of me. He worked for an agency, and again, I worked with that agent for almost my entire career, up until the very last year of my career. Yep. That he was a guy that, again, this agency, he believed in me, he showed faith in me, and at the time I signed with him, he had 3 NHL guys, and by the time I finished my career with him, he had myself and Steve Ott. So he had 2 guys that he dealt with, and those were the 2 guys, and you know what I mean? Like, it was a really personable, and it was a really good relationship. But at the end of the day, I didn't have the big guys, the big guns, to represent me. So again, it's not that important. I think it helps get your name out there, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's representing you. Now I coach guys that are represented by some of the best agents in the business, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you represent. They might help you get the opportunity, but if you show up to camp, or you show up and you're continuing not performing, or you don't want it that bad, it doesn't matter what your representation is or who it is. You can play or you can't play. You want it or you don't want it. So I think that's, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, does it help? Yeah, I'm seeing guys that have the big name agents, and it helps, but it's what they do with that opportunity, like you were alluding to. And so that part of the question, if you guys can read through that, is, again, it helps to have representation, but at the end of the day, if you have the best representation, you don't go and perform, it's not going to help you. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to add to that, Mike, because it's something that I think the context of that is, like, a lot of people, I think you probably touched on it. A lot of people think that outside help is you're going to open doors, and you're going to help you get pushed or promoted. That's one of the questions. Yeah. And you said it, so I'm just going to say it in a different way. This is what I tell every kid, is that it doesn't matter. The best way that you can promote yourself is get on the ice and perform every shift after shift after shift, and practice hard. And it showed up the way you were recognized by Butch. He saw you and he said, okay, this guy, I believe in this kid. I think one of the worst things, I think you would agree with this, especially being a coach now, is when someone tells you how great someone is, and they promote, and they fall short of that promotion. I think it's very critical that people understand that if you want to be recognized, you make your own breaks. And like you said it well, like, some people can open a couple doors maybe to get you in. But if you don't have that heart, soul, and drive, and and you're not going to perform every shift, and it's a waste of time anyway. So I enjoyed your answer on that. Did you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, like, maybe it's my, again, it just all comes down to, again, just for me being honest and me being a coach now, I'll never put my name on a kid that doesn't work or doesn't want it. You know what I mean? Like, I will lay, but then on the turn of that, like, if I know it's a kid that, and I've coached many of them now in just the short 3 years I've been coaching, that don't have the best representation or don't, but these kids grind and they show up and they have a pro mentality and they work and they want it. Like, I'll go the extra mile and I'll make the calls for those guys. I'll do my part to help them move on, but I can't put I won't put my name or my integrity of what I'm about and on the line for someone that isn't proving it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe when people ask those questions or have that concern, I think one of the things I would ask you, like I would ask you this, if I'm going to recommend someone, or if I was, how am I saying this? If I was going to recommend someone to you, what type of there's no games being played really. There's no benefit for me to give you a subpar player, and there's no gain for you to take a player that's not going to work hard. Like, if I was to say, what kind of player do you want? What kind of player would you want?
I want a guy that thinks the game, that shows up every day with the mindset of that today there's something to be earned and something to be learned. Like, that's a big thing I say to my players. Like, every day you have to switch your mind. Like, you don't know it all. I don't know it all. You don't know it all. Like, but we're all here to help. So again, like, the hockey IQ, I think, is the number one thing. If you can think the game, I can help you skate better. I can help you, like, but that's a big one for me, is just being like a kid that's cerebral, can understand things, takes direction well, is coachable. Because a lot of the other things you can help, like the skill development part, that's what we're coaches. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help you get better at those things. But the coachability aspect, the work, the IQ, like, and then again, like, another one is the big one is the compete and the grind. Like, if you came to me and said, Webby, I got a kid that, man, this kid competes. He never quits. He's always on the puck. He wants to be around the puck. He's a great teammate. He's this and this and that. Like, that checks off pretty much all my boxes. And I would give that player an opportunity. Like, okay, well, now let me bring him out and let me see and evaluate where his skills are at. But those things of being a good teammate, competing, those things are intangibles that it's a shame not a ton of players have that.
Yeah. So when you take that over talent, like when you because I mean we've seen so many people come through the game that are very, very talented. You've seen people that are hard work. Can you explain the difference of and you don't have to throw names, but if you've seen people that had a lot of talent that just never made it, as opposed to people that worked their balls off, figured a way to be successful. Can you explain that?
I mean, again, it's the talent. I mean, it's the oldest saying in sports, right? Hard work beats talent almost every day. You know what I mean? Like, again, if you have a team full of determined individuals that are working together and that are pulling on the same rope, like, you can beat teams that are just all skill or out for themselves. And again, we're pretty fortunate. We get to, we're talking about the greatest, in our opinion, or my opinion, the greatest team sport there is. And that's what it is. It's a team sport. Again, in hockey, I think we're pretty fortunate too. The elite players are some of the hardest workers. I mean, we can talk to Zach Cassian about Connor McDavid, or I've been around Sidney Crosby and played again. Like, those guys are humble guys. They're hardworking guys. They hone their craft. They're always pushing. So again, in hockey, I think we're pretty fortunate that some of our elites are some of the hardest workers. Because again, you can have talent. We've all played with guys like that. I've played with hundreds of players that are way more talented than me, but they were assholes. You know what I mean? Or they would tell you how hard they're working or what they're doing, but at the end of the day, they weren't doing it. So again, you just get weeded out. And hockey and in life, those type of people get weeded out pretty quickly. And the guys that are willing to have the elite mindset and continue to keep raising the bar, pushing for more and more knowledge, more skills, they continue to rise and get an opportunity.
There was a funny, for sure, being a player, I think until you're a player, you can only understand this. I knew when I played, when I lined up against someone, I knew that there was a battle of wills. And some guys, no matter how talented they were, they would, when things got tough, they'd find a reason not to compete. And there was one day, it's about 4 years ago, Otter and I were sitting over there talking. We had a really long conversation. One of my questions to him was, Otter, you weren't the biggest guy, because he's not the biggest guy at all. I said, how did it come out that you were like a pest? And I said, do you ever have fear? Because you're tagging with some pretty big dudes. And he said that, and it was a really good answer. He goes, Andy, everybody says that they want it, but do they really? And he goes, what I found is that most people bluff he said, if I'm going to do something, I will actually do it. So that's why he would lick someone's mask or, take on some big boys. And as a player, especially being a grinder, like I know how hard you work and how determined you are. Could you sense it? And could you see it in people when they would back down or have fear?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, the majority of my career, like it was in hockey in its simplest form it's a one-on-one battle. Me versus you. Who wants the puck more? Who wants to win more? What are you willing to do? And that's the mindset I had. And again, I'm very fortunate. I've met a lot of great people and I've had a lot of great coaches, and the Aughts are probably one of the most important people that I met. And just that mindset that was instilled in me since I was 15 years old, that, if you're going to say something, you want to play in the NHL? Okay, well, go and show me and do it, and then continue to prove it on a daily basis. Not just once or not just a couple times a week, but every day, 7 days a week, 365 days, you prove to me that you really want it. And again, that's something that I learned from Otter too. He's a lot better fighter than me, but again, you could see it when you're playing against guys, they don't want it. And there are guys that do make it. And again, it just gets a little hard. When things get hard, people either dig in or they just give up. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the mindset of people. And again, I was taught pretty early that you can't scare a worker with work. It's kind of the odd slogan that we always had, and obviously with our longtime trainer Bill Nolan too. You can't scare a worker with work. So whatever you give me, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to ask for more. I'm going to finish the task at hand. I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities, and then I'm going to do it again and do it again and do it again. And again, that's something that I'll never forget. And obviously now I continue. You have that, and you instill that, and you have it for the rest of your life.
That's a great line. Can't scare a worker with work. Wow. So tell me, there's an awesome story. So I just want to stick with the Aughts for a second, because I know how instrumental they were to you. The reason I want to say this is because I know we're dads, and once you become a dad, you can get a little soft because you love your kids so much. But the bottom line is that the more that we coddle our kids, it's not saying we don't love them, the more that we try to take care of them and save them from like maybe it's the hard work or a little bit of pain somewhere, we make them a little bit weaker. So I'm really cognizant of that with my son. I want him to earn things and stuff like that. So what did Mr. Ott or Butch, what did he teach the most of you? And I love the one story about the one day when you thought you were able to sleep in. Do you remember this story that you told me?
Yeah.
This is the best, and the reason I'm saying this is because most people think it's cruel. I don't, you don't, but most people think it's cruel, but it's like, it kind of made you who you are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So a little background of the story is when I first came here, obviously Mr. L was managing an ice rink at the time. So I was 15 years old, and he would, we would train and skate, and the daily regimen, again, he's a military guy. So the daily regimen I had is every morning he'd walk by my room at 5:55 a.m. He'd bang on my door. I had 5 minutes. I knew I had 5 minutes to get dressed, grab my cereal or a banana out the door, and then I had to start running. So I used to have to do a 3-mile run every morning. I'd come back in, quick shower, and then we'd be in the truck by 7:30, and then we'd go to work. And then I'd have to work all day. And then during my lunch break or whatever, I was allowed to have a quick lunch break. Then he'd put me in the ice, skate me, do whatever, or we'd go work out. And then at 4 o'clock, again, 4 o'clock now it's off ice workout. So it was very strict regimented. And, the leading up to this story is I was going to go out with a group of friends to a movie. And I asked him if it was okay. It was a late show. I'm 15, I'm respectful. I'm living in his house. And he said, no problem, Mike. go to a late show. So I went to a late show. I came home, did nothing, went right to bed. And the next morning I heard him get up, but he didn't knock on the door. So, wow, all right. So again, you're a kid. And so he didn't knock on the door. I was like, oh, maybe he's giving me the day. So I just kind of took it for what, and I went back to sleep. And I woke up about 9 o'clock and I went out to the kitchen, and Mrs. Ott's sitting there. She's having her coffee. And I was like, oh, like, Mr. Ott, let me sleep in. She goes, no, that was a test and you failed. It's like, oh shit, it's not going to be good. So, I mean, again, it was about the accountability, like you know, and again, you want to be a man at night. And again, I was 15 years old going to a movie, but you know, again, man at night, man in the morning, you wake up and again, you shouldn't have to have someone holding you accountable, babysitting you through your life. And that's kind of what I took from that story is that, or what happened to me is that, again, it wasn't his responsibility. He wasn't trying to make the NHL. That was gone. I was.
Yep.
I was the one that wanted, you know what I mean? And he was, you know, again, because there's the first little bit that I was there and he was trying to set me into this regiment, but now it's been a couple months and now I'm asking to do extra stuff. And okay, well, yeah, you can have all these extra things, you put in the work, but now you got to hold yourself accountable. And that was the first and last time I, you know, didn't hold myself accountable in that instance. And he left and went to work and I missed a day of training. And it was something I was in the doghouse for a couple of days.
And you felt,
and then it was something that I had to prove that to get back into that circle that, you know, I do want to be an NHL player. I want to play for the Windsor Spitfires this year. And I had to kind of get back into that.
Yeah. Well, that's all. I love that story because not enough people do that type of stuff. You know, we try to find easy ways out. You know, it was funny. We were doing a workout. I was doing one with Cassian and Charlie, and we were doing just sprints, like just beating the shit out of ourselves. And so I said, because I only had one assault bike, and I said, "Oh, Cass, just go ahead. You and Charlie do it." And Cass gave it to me right away. Because you're not getting out of this right now. And this is the mentality of guys that that's our mentality, right? We're not gonna, like you said, you're not gonna scare us with work and a challenge. So that's the mindset you want to have as a player. It's very, 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 very important. And you're fortunate to have Mr. Butch at that point.
I have hundreds of stories like that. Like I'll share one more. Like, I mean, just with again, Mr. Ott at the time, you know, he was, again, military guy, but wasn't a certified trainer, but like he had a big heart and he had a big group of local players that were all drafted to the OHL. Some guys first rounders, some guys 12th rounder, like whatever it was. There was a big group of us that were all draft picks to the OHL. We were all going to play in the OHL next year. And I remember like countless times, like the workout started at 4. So the workout starting at 4 meant that you had to be there about 3:45. You had to do your 15-minute on the bike, warm up, and it started at 4. And again, as the summer went on, like there was countless times where guys would come in at 4, walking in the gym, and he'd just send them right home. Just go home. It's on your way, boy. You know. And again, like it just all like no, this time means this time, and the work starts now, and you can't. There's no excuses. Oh, I was late, or I had to work, or my car. Like, no, there's no excuses. Like it's black and white. It was very black and white in Mr. Ott's world, and kind of obviously how I was brought up that this is when we're doing something, this is what you're expected to do. Expectations were laid out, and commands were clear, and you did it, or you went home.
Yeah. And you know what? It's awesome. That's because that's the way it is. I mean, as you as a player, that when people have to remember that. Yeah, well, here's a question. I was going to save this one to him because you come. Let's put it this way: most people that are in the coaching industry or management that are running teams are similar, like to a certain degree. I'm not going to say every guy worked as hard as you. That would be a tough thing to do. But there's a similar path that most guys have. Yeah. So if you're coming in as a hockey player, as a parent, whatever, it doesn't matter. They want to approach you about your son. How does someone impress Mike Weber? How does someone outwork Mike Weber and all these things? Like how does it end up that you sit there and look at a kid and you go, wow, that's the kid I want. Like how does that happen? Because I'm hard to impress.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I think as a coach too, I've had to like there won't be another Mike Weber type of play. You know what I mean? But you can look for obviously certain different traits, and you can't compare players to yourself or how you made it because everyone's story is different. So that's something I'm coming to terms with talking with my wife and obviously with children now. They're not like me, and they all have different personalities. But again, for me, the big thing is again when expectations are laid out, and I provide a plan. I want to see the kids that understand the expectations, that actually want more put on them, and then again are there doing the work every day consistently, and then consistently getting the work done, and then asking for more or inquiring about more or asking questions. Like I want those kids that there's no just casual day walking in the rink where we got practice at 2 today. I walked in at 1 and I got on I want the kids that are there, that are engaged, like they're here to work, they're here to put in their time to get better, to better themselves. And you'd be surprised at how many kids that actually don't do it. And even in the Ontario Hockey League, that's just something they're doing. So, that's what would impress me. And again, I think the number one thing too, that's really big is the being humble and respectful. For some reason, I've seen that quality kind of go by the wayside, where there is this cockiness, there is this entitlement, and again, at the end of the day, I was very fortunate to play in the National Hockey League. I played in the Ontario Hockey League. I played in the American League. I played overseas. And to believe me, the jobs I got towards the end of my career, when I was injured and beat up, they weren't because, again, my playing capacity wasn't at where it was. I was getting those jobs because of the leadership I could provide, or what I could do for the organization, so again, it goes a long way if you stay humble, you're a good teammate, you work hard, you make people better, you push people to be better around you, which in turn helps you become better. That's what I would love to see. And that's what you see with a lot of we're very fortunate in the Windsor area where we have a lot of those type of guys. I don't know if it's something in the water here, but we have guys that do that consistently. They stay humble. I mean, everyone's a big family. And again, if you can have more kids that way, obviously I think the game would be a lot better, and obviously teams would be a lot better. If you can get 20 guys that are built with that kind of a mindset, imagine what you could do. And even if you had the skilled guys that can get on board with that, the possibilities could be endless.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, people don't, I don't think, we talk about this quite a bit. That's one of the things that I always say to people is that, if you want to be a good player, that's fine. But if you want to be a great player, reach your potential, what you have to do is you got to make people around you better. And I think people have a hard time understanding that. And I think as parents that are around here watching this, it's something that you have to, it's something I talk to my son about, is make other people better. Because I think a lot of people look through that selfish lens, and it's not being an asshole selfish, but you want the best for you. Yeah. But making other people better will actually raise your levels and give you more opportunities.
I can even compare my career. Again, we've said it all, and it's no secret. I was not a superstar coming out of the OHL. I was a high draft pick. I was a second rounder to the NHL, but again, I left my highest point total in the Ontario Hockey League was 30 points. My last year in junior. Now I'm turning pro. But again, I think what I was able to do is, and the reason I had the career I had is because I was a good teammate. It's that simple. I wanted it. I pushed for it. I worked hard. But at the end of the day, it was the team before me every time. And again, that leads into the stuff you were talking to me about, or about me earlier in the podcast. It's just, I battled through injuries. One is because I couldn't stand to not be out there with my teammates. I blocked shots. I did the dirty jobs that other guys wouldn't do, but it wasn't just for me or the glory. Cause there's no glory in blocking 1,000 shots a season. It hurts. But I did it because I wanted to win. I wanted to help my teammates. Blocking a shot on the penalty kill with up a goal with, 5 minutes left in the game. That's like me scoring a game-winning goal. Like, I laid it on the line for my teammates. And then when you have a good team, those teammates embrace you like you did just score the game-winning goal. You know what I mean? Because that's what I could bring to the team. And again, so I'm very fortunate that I obviously had a lot of great teammates and a lot of players. But at the end of the day, I played for them before myself. Like, I always wanted it, but I truly do love the team aspect of it, and I love the guys that I was competing with, and I even love the guys that I competed against, because I wanted to be better than, like, I wanted to push myself, to raise myself to their level. So again, I think that's just so important. Again, just the staying humble and the we before the team, and I feel like that's gone away. And now I find myself as a coach trying to justify it in a guy's head. Okay, well, if you do this for you, what does that mean for the team? Where when I was coming up, it was, you do this because it'll make the team better. And then trying to now teach players or coach players into that, like, team success helps everyone. I had a lot of team success as a player, and that led to personal success.
Yeah.
So, trying to teach them that.
Yeah, so you get it. So, like, before going into that, we're just, because this was your game. It was rough and it was tough and it was hard. And I know that you loved every minute of it, but you went through a lot of, I mean, it was, I saw you firsthand. Jesus, feel for you, bud. I remember the last year you were asking me, like, do you think I could still go? And I don't know if you remember my answer. My answer was, I think it was something along the lines like, if you got a ways to go, but this is going to be up to you. I think you knew, but I couldn't say it to you.
Look, believe me, I'm the first to admit, like, I had medical professionals that had told me that it was done. There's no way you can play. You're done. You're done playing pro hockey. The knees are gone. At the time I was 29. Yeah. And, they were like, listen, like, you need knee replacements. You can't play anymore. And I kind of had, again, the mindset we have, like, no, I'm not done. Like, I can do this. Like, I can find a way. And I grinded. And that was probably the most painful year of my life. Like, coming back and trying to do the things and the frustration of not being able to do the things I once did, and then dealing with the pain, the constant pain. But again, I wouldn't trade it for anything, because I think obviously it's made me a better person, a better coach. I have those, I've lived through those experiences. But yeah, I can remember the phone conversation. So I finally got a job. Obviously, skated with you and tried to battle through for a long time. And then in November, I finally got someone that wanted to bring me in, and in Frölunda in Sweden. And again, I going through there, and I was only able to make, 10 games. But just having my knee drained every game just to play, and or, getting shot up or trying to get through the pain or icing or the constant, like, I honestly, I wouldn't give it up for anything. And that's the number one thing I'll miss. I'll miss the compete. And I tell my players this all the time, like, you'll never, like, it's the one thing, obviously as a coach, you have different avenues of the competitiveness and the chess game that you're playing, and the scheming and the videos and all that stuff. But, like, I'll never be able to put the gear on and dump them, chase a dumped puck in again. And it's me versus you, and win that battle. And, so to cherish every moment of that, and I truly did. I cherished every moment of playing, and obviously I wish I could have played forever, but we know that's unrealistic, and eventually it ends for everyone. But yeah, I love the battle. I love to compete, and would I have done a few things differently? Maybe rehabbed a little longer on some of them, but again, it wasn't my makeup.
No.
Just go. I wanted to push. I wanted to battle. I wanted to get back on it. I didn't want to give anyone an extra step. And that was something in my own mind where, again, when I was injured, I felt like everyone's gaining steps on me. Everyone's catching me. Like, I can't let them catch me. I've got to rehab. I've got to do everything as diligently as possible, plus more. Do more. Because if I stay out too long, people are going to catch me. People are going to track me down, or, I'm opening doors, or I'm opening windows for other players to come through and take my job. And as you get older, and then you have a family. Well, now I got a family to take. So again, there was a lot of external forces and pressure, like, I'd put on myself, but I wanted to be elite, and I didn't want to give anyone a step on me. Like, I wanted to really push and play at a high level for as long as I could have.
Now, there's a good book, Bill Romanowski, right? Football player. So there's it's similar to what he did. So he was supposed to be a they say he was crazy and a steroid freak and stuff like that. That's actually not what his intentions were. So the book, if anybody wants to get it, it's really interesting. Actually, my son's reading it right now. It's called Romo. And basically what happened was when he was growing up, same thing, didn't have a lot of money, a lot of opportunity and stuff, but he started working out and stuff. But what led him to doing some of his crazy stuff was that exactly what you said, is that he was so afraid that someone would be better, that he would, he found every supplement that he could take. And most of it was healthy and good stuff. But what happens is that you get driven so hard that you actually end up hurting yourself just because. So it was an interesting thing that you have there. It's like so competitive that he didn't want anybody to be, like, he thought he would lose his job sometimes. So he went to extremes, working out hours and hours a day. So Mike, when you're done hockey, you went into coaching. Did you know that you knew that you wanted to be a coach, or did you?
Yeah, I think obviously after I was traded to Washington, so I went to Washington and I didn't re-sign in Washington, and then I skated with you again. I had a hard time finding a job. I was getting older. I had some injuries, stuff like that, and I was having a hard time finding a job. And then I was fortunate that I got a job. I went back to Minnesota's farm team there in Iowa, and when I got there, they gave me a 25-game PTO after I just was making $2 million in the NHL the year before. And so that's why you need to stay humble, and nothing's given, and you never know what's going to happen. So I go on this PTO, and I'm back in the minors after 8 years not being in the minors. And again, my mindset was that I'm coming here and I can add something, and I'm not done yet. I can prove myself. I can regain this. And I went down with that mindset, and again, I had a great coach, Derek Lalonde, who's now an assistant coach in Tampa Bay, but he was the head coach, and he kind of relied heavily on me, and we had a great working relationship where I almost became like a player coach. And in that 25-game PTO, ended up was named the captain like 10 games into me playing there. And then obviously I finally got signed. I signed a year-long contract there. I was a captain there, but I kind of took on, it was a young team, and I took on almost like a coaching role plus playing. And then getting injured at the end of the season, I actually stepped behind the bench for a couple of games and was instrumental, and really thrust into the video portion of it and things like that. And I knew right there, I would be a good coach. And again, I had a lot of great coaches along the way, but a guy that really stood out is obviously DJ Smith, who's now the head coach in Ottawa. But I had DJ almost similar to how I got into coaching. He had an injury. He couldn't play anymore. He came back to Windsor, started coaching, and he was instrumental in me even having an NHL career. So I thought if I could have one Mike Weber story, it'd be a success. And again, I feel like I have my playing time was cut short in the game, I feel, but I still have so much to add to the new generation of players, and I still have a lot of value to add to the game. And again, we're all competitors, right? Like, I'm still chasing down the dream. I want to win the Stanley Cup, or I want to win a Memorial Cup. Like, I want to be a champion, and I want that same feeling for the players that I coach and the organizations I work for.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, I can see just from knowing you and your work ethic. I know what you have put in so far. I get it, because I just know you too well. I know what you're willing to do, but this is something that you probably didn't see coming. But as a friend, just in this conversation, actually in the last year or two, our conversations, I've seen a different maturity. Now, I'm not talking to an 18-year-old kid here, but I've seen a different maturity. Your communication, it's just off the charts now compared to what it used to be, because you're more of a quiet guy. I didn't like to say too much, but you've been able to actually really express in a good way. And I think actually we talked about this, is that communication for you is actually, what you were saying the other day, is one of the keys that you've learned, that you have to be a very good communicator with players and coaches, parents, everything right now. So maybe maybe that's some advice that you can say to coaches about communication. And also, how important is it for kids to be able to communicate as a coach? Because I know my answer to that. Like, if I talk to you and say, "Hey, Mike, can you do this, and this?" and if you look at me like you're trolling for flies, I'm not sure if you get the message. So as a coach, how do you respond to that shit?
Well, for me, obviously, as a coach, and obviously as a player, the coaches I bonded with more were and the coach I want to be is, and it's something that I'm continuing to work on, is the concision, like how concise are you with your messaging? How tight are you? If I tell you, you need to, we're doing a 1-1-2-4 check or whatever it is, like, and the way I deliver it to you, do you understand what I'm asking? And then if you don't, do you, like, for a player now coming back, can you ask the proper questions to find out without acting like an asshole or a dick or going behind my back? And I think that's the biggest part, is everything's communication. It has to be. Like, I've had coaches, and even in the NHL, say some crazy things. You have no idea what they mean. And when you ask, you don't really get an answer. And then, well, now you have a disconnect. And how do you think the team's going to play tonight?
Yep.
No one's on the same page. So it's so important that obviously everyone needs to be on the same page. Player, coach, player, like whichever way it goes, like those communications. And again, I'm very fortunate to work with Trevor Letowski, who's a great communicator, the head coach for the Windsor Spitfires, and has taught me a lot about how he communicates with the players and his messaging and how he delivers it. And again, no one's the same, and I do things a little different when I talk, but again, just his overall message of how concise he can be. Here's the message, and it's quick, it's to the point. Questions, got it? Are you sure? Okay, good, we go. And again, I think it's something that I've gotten a lot better when you start doing all these video meetings. And again, I'm a type of guy, I get, my wife would be the first one to tell you, I get so like it comes off as passion, but to other people, it comes off as intensity, and it could be a little scary sometimes. So, because I just get so fired up about what I'm teaching or how I'm doing stuff or about the game, I still get jacked up. So that's something I've worked on obviously the last couple of years, is in my messaging, just making sure that when I'm going through my video clips that I'm trying to think of, questions the players might come up with. Is my messaging concise enough? Is my video clips too long? Like, do I need to cut this? Like, so it's a constant battle of trying to, be able to answer the questions before they're asked, or to know the questions or see where things are, so that when I give my meeting, these guys should be leaving the room with with a clear expectations of what they need to go out and do on the ice. And again, that's a yearly and a daily thing that I'm working on. But again, the tighter my meetings can get, the clearer the messaging. Obviously, the better the execution and the higher the quality you're going to get on the ice.
Yeah, it's funny saying that. Literally just said this with Charlie the other day. I was showing Dalton, because Dalton Proud's been really helping Charlie a lot, just talking to him, sending him different things. So I was showing, sent him a clip of him doing some plyometric stuff for his quickness. And Dalton sent out a note. He goes, "That's fantastic." He goes, "But something I noticed." He said, "I see his knees coming in. I think there might be, needs to get some help with his lower back or his hips. You can do some band work." So I told Charlie that, and I love the response, because Charlie said, "Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fix it." So we sent something, a video back to him yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was so happy that he took the information. But my point of this is that I told Charlie, I said, as a hockey player, and for people that hear me talk about Charlie all the time, it's just the closest guy in my life. I don't mean to be talking, but he's just with me every day, and I like him. But I told Charlie, I said, "What's so important, Charlie?" Because he sent him a note back, and he said, "Dalton, thanks for the input. How is it looking now? I've been working on it." And Dalton was so thrilled. And I told Charlie, I said, that if you ever want your coach to actually really respect you and to want to help you, is to do exactly that. Not ass-kissing stuff, but to take information and apply it. And if you don't understand, to talk about it or to ask questions, so that you get better, because it shows as a coach that you actually want to learn.
Well, again, when he would be a prime example. Charlie Boy there would be a prime example of, is obviously a kid you want on your team. Because to be honest, I've coached players where I could say that, "Hey, that's great work there, but you can improve this, and this." They almost forget that it's a positive thing, but now how can we evolve this? How can we make it better or more efficient or quicker or whatever it is? And they take it now their mindset's changed, and now you're attacking them. Then they get on the defense, or they don't understand that like, yeah, that's great. We worked on this. That was part A. Well, now we can introduce part B, and like, let's make some tweaks. Let's, you know what I mean? So obviously Charlie has a great outlook, and he's a positive, you know, he took it the right way, but it is unfortunate how many players now that take it the wrong way. And then as a coach, now instead of being concise and quick, now you have to kind of backtrack, bring it back. No, what am I trying to do here? I'm not attacking. We can improve. We're going to work better. And the players that, you know, continually think you're bashing them or critiquing them, where it's not that. It's we're trying to make you more efficient. I'm trying to make you a better player. And the good kids are the ones that come in, they see it, ask questions that need to be asked, and then go out and do it. So that's a great trait.
Yeah, and I was using Charlie because I was one, but got a couple other kids on his team that have been really communicating me like on a daily basis. They coach, because there's nothing around right now. Like, how do I maintain? How do I maintain a level head? How do I get better? How do I get stronger? So a lot of kids have been asked. Those are the kids you want to help.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the kids you want to help. The other ones, it's like, you know, it becomes tougher, and as the year goes on, it just becomes tougher, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's another question there. You know, we're gonna start wrapping it up for you, Mike. I know you got a young fella that might be getting up soon.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to ask one more question from one of the boys got drafted, and it's kind of along the same lines as before. Here's the thing: a lot of people want the validation. A lot of people just need to know that there is hope. All right, late draft picks and stuff like that. So bottom line, the question was, you just had the draft. Camp's going to be coming up. A later round pick, do they actually have a chance to make it by working hard, showing up? As much of a chance as an early round pick, or like how much stock do you play in a player's round selection? So I'll just start off with, because I don't want to put you on too much of a spot. The honest answer is there is the first round pick that's going to make your team most likely. I think they have to. The second and third round picks, your coaches and your management want them to make it. But if you are a later pick and you're showing up, you've got a chance. But you've got to bust that door open. And the last part to that before I let you go. So I think anybody that we have to understand about not just hockey, but life. It's not a race. You got to think long term. And sometimes just because you play at a higher level or what you perceive as something better, if you're not getting the ice, you're not getting the opportunities, you're not getting the coaching, it might be detrimental to you. So the thing is that take where you are, but the most important thing is to make sure you're getting better every day. So that when your opportunity actually is there, that you're getting better. So that's my answer. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like again, it's a status thing, and it's
yeah.
Well, we'd all love to be first round picks, but at the end of the day, that's not realistic. And I can give a little quick story. Like obviously, just with our team, like if you guys go through and look at the Windsor Spitfire roster, you'd be surprised at how many late round draft picks play for us now. Did they play in the first year? No. Some of them didn't even play in their second year. We just had a overage defenseman, Thomas Stevenson, who I believe, I'll probably get it wrong, but I believe he was like a 12th round draft pick. He didn't play until his third year. And he played 3 years with us. So he missed his first 2 seasons. He came in as a third-year guy, as an 18-year-old. He made our team. He played an overage year last year for us. He was my second leading defenseman in ice time. He was a solid, steady player, extremely coachable, worked hard, simple. But again, you just look at there, like he could have easily just quit. He didn't make it his first year. Got cut his second year. Came back for the third year, made the team as a 7th defenseman. They didn't play him that much. You know, by the end of his career, he was playing close to 30 minutes for me. So, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter where you drafted. And I know so many people say that. It really doesn't. What matters is up here. I truly believe that. Like, what are you doing up here? How are you taking that, you know, the time you get cut from the team? What's the mindset like when you get cut? Is it just utter disappointment? Like there's some great stories. Even in my personal experience I'm called up to the NHL one day. I get to play in an NHL game. Well, the next day the GM calls me in his office, "Hey kid, you're sent down." Okay, what's your mindset going down? Are you going to be mopey or just got sent down? Are you going to be a bad teammate? Are you not going to work? Are you going to think you're too good now? I don't deserve it. I don't belong here. And like, no, it's a process. It truly is a process. And you really have to be strong between the ears. And there's so many things out there that can help you with that. But again, just being able to understand this is where I am right now. This is where I was drafted. So that's the little bubble they put you in. That's fine. You go, you show the work, you show the determination, you don't quit, you do something to get noticed, you play your hardest, you take that opportunity of going to the training camp and you make the most of it. Then wherever you're playing the following year, you take that mindset of, okay, I got to prove something. Like, how can I be better? How can I improve? How can I make sure that when I get another opportunity, I make the most of it? Again, like, those are what I think are the most important. I've played with and been with guys that have, taken those demotions or those cuts so hard and gone kind of the other way where you lose them. And those were great hockey players that they went with the wrong mindset and they never played again. Or, you know what I mean? Or they didn't get called back up, and, they were great players. They had great AHL careers or European careers, but they kind of lost the mental side of the game. Hockey beat them mentally. And again, hockey's a grind, and you gotta love the grind if you want to be in this and anything in life. If you want to be successful in any aspect of life, like, you gotta love the grind. You've got to be willing to deal with the failures and the successes and somehow try to just keep an even keel and keep grinding, because it never ends. I finished playing it. The grind didn't end. I jumped into another grind. I was fortunate to get back in the hockey. Now it's another grind. Now I have a goal. I want to be an NHL head coach one day. Am I going to be that tomorrow? No. But I know it's a process. So even for myself now as a coach, like, what can I do what am I doing today to help me prepare for tomorrow? And then tomorrow, what am I doing to help me prepare for the next day? And how am I evolving? How am I learning? How am I continuing to push myself? And again, if you take that as a player, and that's the mindset I had as a player, and when I'd come skate with you, what can I do today to make myself a better player? Even as a player, I was put into a bubble. I'm a shutdown, simple, stay-at-home defenseman, block shots, kill penalties. When I came home and skated with you, what did we do? None of that.
Yeah.
I worked to try to become a better hockey player. Like, I wanted to be, okay, Packer, let's go, stick handle through 1,000 cones, do this, shot. Obviously, I worked on the things that I needed to do, but okay, how can I skate faster out of the corner? How can I be quicker making the first pass? How can I see the ice? How can I cut the ice in half? And again, all of those things, again, continue to push me and raise the bar. And I was never content with the bubble that you're put in. Always try to push. And again, I know I got long-winded here. That's a concision part I'm working on here, guys. I'm trying to tighten my messaging, but I think it's so important that if you really want to be, the last point I made, if you really want to be a hockey player, you can't just say it.
No, that's awesome. I didn't mind the long-windedness because it was actually passionate, and it's true, and it's 100%. It is what it is. I think people have to really actually understand that. That you do actually have to get better every day. I look at my business, and you've seen different things with me, is if I am the same instructor I was 20 years ago, you would have never gave me $1 of your money as a pro. And if I'm the same as I was 5 years ago, you have to be willing to get better. You have to communicate better. The kids are different. There's people that try to compete. You just have to be on top of your game. For me, one of my biggest things is mentally. And you mentioned mentally, but I know I'm not going to keep it too much longer, Mike, but you talked about mental stuff. And I've had couple, I think you knew that I'm a big reader and I'm into this stuff a lot. And I think people just don't understand how important the mental aspect of things are. You have to be mentally tough. As a player, what did you do for mental toughness? Like, I had Dr. Krista Chandler on talking about imagery. And she actually said, what amazes me is that she was saying that she showed me the science that the most elite athletes in the world are also the best imagers. I was like, wow, that's a stat. That's a stat. Then the mental toughness, like, being able to bounce back from things and stuff like that. What have you done So when I see someone like, when you know a stat like imaging, well, the most elite players are the best imagers. For me, the answer is, okay, I need to image or learn how to be a good imager or visualizer, right? Like to me, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What did you do as a player mentally? Did you have any practical training?
Well, like I was fortunate to be in the Sabres organization for a long time, and they always had a sports psychologist on board, and it was great. They'd always give you feedback. You could text with her, talk to her at any moment. And again, for me, I relied. I would say the thing that helped me the most is and again, I still do this to this day, is I rely on others' experiences. I read a lot also. Like, again, I'm a kind of philosophy guy, and that's why it kind of goes to philosophy. Just rely on other people's experiences. So what have you gone through? How can your experience help me?
Yeah.
So again, I was fortunate to play with obviously some of my idols that I grew up admiring, and a big one too was obviously Otter, but Rob Nergier. I got to play with him, and he was my favorite NHL defenseman when I was coming up through junior, and I got to play with him for 2 years. And I made a point to go and sit beside him every day and talk to him. How did he deal with this situation? How did he deal with that? How do you deal with this? What do you do with this adversity? How did you feel there? And I would ask a ton of questions and get answers and be able to kind of internalize them. Again, I think I picked a great spouse who I could bounce things off of and talk to. I've talked to therapists, just mentally getting things off your chest. It's hard. There's some dark days, but again, you got to drive through it. I mean, like I touched on earlier, like there was 2 years in a row where I didn't have a job, and you're training and you're preparing for something, but you don't know what it is. It's similar to what's kind of going on around the globe right now. Like no one knows what's going on. And I felt that on a smaller personal side, with hockey. I didn't know where my next job was going to come. I didn't know when the next paycheck, and you're working out and you're driving, and that's all you could do is control what you can do today, and again, I think that's a big thing now. Even with the Windsor Spitfires now, we have a mental coach that's on staff full time. As a staff, we meet with him once a week, every Tuesday. Then he meets with our players. So again, we kind of go through things that how are we dealing with adversity? How are our players handling our communication? And again, you're always kind of trying to grow your mindset of it. But again, I mean, the best advice is honestly that I could give is the simplest advice. And it was something that's, I think everyone said is, and it's easier said than done, but control what you can control. What can you control? And I say it to my players all the time now, and they look at me like I'm an idiot, or like, oh, I've heard that a million times. But if you really think about it,
yep.
Can I control the general manager sending me down? Can I control that guy cutting me? No, I can't. He made that decision. But what can I do? Like, what can I do to come out of that? How can I mentally flip the script in a positive way, or use it as a chip on my shoulder that, okay, well, next up, like, I'm going to make the most of it. Like, so again, it's the most common saying in the world, but control what you can control. But it's so true in so many aspects of life that if you really worry about what you can do, just another quick story, like when players come to me, or agents call now, so that's a new thing, but an agent calls and asks about a player's ice time, or a player comes in, hey, I want more ice time. Okay, well, what are you doing to get more ice time? I'm here every day. I see you. Are you working harder in the gym to prepare for that more ice time? Are you asking for more skills work? Are you staying after practice? Are you showing up on time? Like, what are you ticking all the boxes along? Like, yeah, like I control the ice time at the end of the day, but what are you doing to get more ice time? Yep. I was never a player that went in and complained ever. Like I at one point in my NHL career, I got healthy scratch 17 games straight. Like, what can I do today to hopefully get in the lineup tomorrow? I'm going to work my out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do extra. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so control what you can control. I can't control the lineup. I can't control this. I can control certain aspects of my job daily. And if I continue to check those boxes off, at some point, they can't ignore you any longer. Like, you will push through. You know what I mean? If you're truly dedicated to your craft and becoming elite. And that's when you weed out a lot of people that way too, because they're not willing to go that extra mile.
Yeah, Mike, this is like so gold. So you're taking this whole conversation, you brought it full circle, because Dr. Novetzky was one of my first guests I ever had on my webinars. And it was called Control the Controllables. And he talked about, he said it like, basically, yeah, everything else is just stress. past, the future, all this stuff is stress. What can you do now? If you can control your controllables, you can actually get something done in life. But the other thing about this was you answered basically the first thing, that first question about, do I need someone to promote me? Do I need, how do I get my break? You just said it right there. I hope we could cut the whole thing out and just listen to that piece. Hope people do it over and over and over again, because honestly, you just said it. You take it. What are you doing differently to earn this ice time, to make me want to give you more? Because you see them every day. Talk is cheap. Talk is so freaking cheap. And moms and dads, that's one of the messages you can give to your kids is like, what are you doing about it? Because, moms and dads can't play. We can talk about it all day and we can complain, but control what you can control. And Mike, it was the best statement. It was awesome. And I'm going to leave it on this, Mike, unless you have, let me ask you this. Is there anything else you'd like to add for today?
No, I'm good. I really appreciate you bringing me on and talking. Obviously I love hockey, and
yeah,
I'm sure the people that were watching can see the intensity and the passion that I have for the game. But no, I'm obviously very grateful. And again, I will reiterate this statement, like, no one's self-made. There's people along the way. And I think as a player coming up, or even for myself as a coach, like, you've got to see you can almost gravitate to those people that want to help you, that see the hard work in you, and naturally you gravitate towards them and you learn from them. And that's another way to achieve it too. It's not by ass kissing or this, but people that truly see how hard you're working and the passion that you bring and the energy you bring every day. Like, you connect to certain people, and you know what I mean? And those people help build you, and then you're continually learning, continually earning everything you've gotten. And that's the one thing that I can truly say about my career is I had a ton of help along the way, but at the end of the day, it came down to me and what I was willing to do to earn it. And it was great. And now I'm starting all over again and doing it through the coaching. So.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to end it on this. I always, when I look at this, it's because I have a son now. I look at things through a different lens. I used to look at players. I used to, how I am. I love every player. I want everyone to succeed. I truly, just like you are as a coach, I think people have a hard time maybe understanding that. When you are working with the players on your team, you truly, truly want them to succeed in every way.
Yeah.
100%. And that's how I am with every kid that I train. Sometimes the messages don't get through for whatever reasons, or they don't want it, whatever. But when I look at, someone was to tell me, because there's a lot of banter about what's better, OHL or college. And they're both great, and they're both great people and everything. If you would ask me if I could go back to 1985, 86, when I started in the OHL, what would be a better option? I would say, well, the coaches were basically, they couldn't coach one shift in the league right now. They were just hard-ass, non-communicating idiots. And that's maybe not the nicest thing to say, but it's the truth. If someone was to say the Windsor Spitfires, because I know Trevor as well, what's their organization like? And I've done this with Saginaw just a couple weeks ago. The quality of information that you're giving, and like, I would have no problem sending my son to that situation. And that speaks volumes of an organization, because I couldn't have said that 15, 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, and again, obviously thank you. Like, but I think about it too. Like, I have three sons coming up, like, again, wanting to push them. If they play hockey, that's great. If they don't, that's great. I'll support them in whatever they do. But when it comes time for that decision, like, I mean, I can't control whether they get drafted or where they do or where they're going, but I do know that I would do my due diligence to make sure that the coaches and the organization has this kind of plan. And I would say more often than not nowadays, like, there's so many good coaches out there. There's so many good programs. And again, like, as long as they show the care, and I think that's most important too. I always played better for the coaches that I knew cared about me.
Yep.
So as long as they show the care and then the willingness to work with you and help you to get better and help my sons develop and become better men, then obviously I would have no problem sending my kid, whether that was college or to the Ontario Hockey League. Because again, I truly believe that hockey does make our young men better and makes them great men.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so you were fantastic, bud. Fantastic today. And I know the people that have watched this are going to. Yeah, I know. Well, you're talking with you're right. You're talking about hockey, but you're talking about who you are. Really, this is what it's all about, right? It's no bullshit. It's just easy to talk about.
Yeah.
But you were fantastic today. I'm gonna. Well, we'll see. We'll talk to each other soon. But I totally appreciate you coming out. And yes, I'll follow up with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, bud.